Hi, my name is Michael Peter, and I'm going to discuss Beethoven's Piano Sonata Number 14 in C sharp minor, specifically the second movement, and most commonly known as the Moonlight Sonata. As suggested by its title, the piece was composed for solo piano. It was completed in 1801, and that was towards the end of what is considered to be Beethoven's first period of his life. In the first period of his life, he typically wrote music which was inspired by the greats who preceded him, such as Joseph Haydn and Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. But towards the end of the first period of his life, when he wrote this, he began to branch away from this traditional style. For instance, sonatas at the time typically began with the fast-moving first movement. However, Beethoven decided to begin this one with a slow first movement, and that is actually where the nickname Moonlight Sonata comes from. It was not Beethoven's original idea. The tempo of the second movement is allegretto and is composed of minuetto and trio structures which bring a plain yet pleasant melody to surface. The first 17 seconds are in the allegretto, and then there's a minor ritardando where it switches to the trio until about 26 seconds, where the cheerful melody returns. Then after a few bars is my favorite part, where there's this very pleasant crescendo, and that happens right leading up to about 39 seconds with a beautiful return to the refrain melody. That's the main pattern throughout most of the movement, despite a few subtle differences, but it is the shortest of the three movements of this sonata, and being so, it does not shift as much away from its main melody. Since the overall sound of the second movement is cheerful and playful, the dynamics don't shift as frequently as the other movements of the sonata. But of the three movements, the second is commonly also one of the ones which people are the least familiar from Moonlight Sonata. It's likely due to the slow first movement being such an iconic piece, and then the incredible piano piece in the third movement, which is just so impressive, anyone who can play it. But the way I personally love about the second movement is its happy sound, kind of feeling like a calm before the storm that comes in the third movement. With such a joyous sound, I think the best type of movie scene to be accompanied by Beethoven's second movement of this sonata would be some sort of grand celebration, especially involving people who are either of royalty or very esteemed, like maybe a Game of Thrones feast, and just casual, everyone celebrating is what I kind of picture. And all in all, the one thing I would tell others about the second movement of Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata is not to overlook it. I say this not with disrespect to the first or third movements, but almost to their fault in a sense, since they're so popular and so much more well known. It's easy for many to forget how uplifting and moving the second can be.